Ice Chimes is part of a larger effort, the Greenway Conservancy's part, to put more interactive, surprising elements out in the parks. And one of the problems we have right now, or the challenges, is to put out art or activities that work during the evening and especially in the cold. We're here in Boston. It's cold for what feels like 8 months out of the year. And I ran into Keith Moskow at one point, and he was talking about his urban interventions, in that he had this idea for something that would encourage icicle growth and the noise of icicles. I thought, well, we got to talk.
About 2 years ago, I was walking across the Greenway and I saw Kate from the Greenway Conservancy. And Kate said, "Hey Keith, have you seen the big hammock?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "It's a big hammock that's being built." I said, "Oh my God, that's so cool, let's go see it." When we saw it, that was sort of the generative thought about doing something on the Greenway during the winter.
Throughout the process, we were trying to think of something that people would respond to in a kind of elemental way. And the idea of ice and the beauty that everyone's experienced when after an ice storm or freezing rain, and the next day the sun comes out and you see the trees covered in ice and you hear the clicking in the breeze of the ice together. We were actually at some point talking about this to Steve Siegel, whose firm did the structural engineering for this project. He was like, the Robert Frost poem, Birches, of course. In the poem, Frost talks about exactly that, when the trees have gone past their kind of yield point with the ice and the heaviness of the ice, that the ice will fall and crash to the ground, and you have this kind of this moment, which we've tried to capture with what we call the amplification bucket. So we're creating icicles and then allowing them at some point to drop into this bucket, which has faceted metal pieces, so that when they crash, they'll bang around in the bucket and create a number of different sounds.
Well, we designed the ice chime to be able to function both day and night. So during the daytime, we're really hoping that the ice will grow to the full length of the cords and past the sort of overhead shadow and begin to sort of shine and glisten as it's moving around. And then also at night, the inner core is lit subtly. But so as the cars are passing by, it'll emit sort of like a soft lantern glow.
So once all of the water and the ice kind of move toward the center and starts dripping, we have these cables that are running down that are attached to these steel tubes. And so our hope is that the water and the ice will start to form along these tubes, which are going to have enough slack in the cable that they can, in the breeze, will ultimately move and then bang against each other. And once they hit each other, we're hoping at that point that they will break and fall into the sound amplification bucket, which is a 3-foot bucket on the interior. And so that once the icicles hit, the sound will reverberate in the bucket, and you'll have a number of different kind of different sounds coming from a single crash.
Public art, especially good public art in an urban environment, encourages participation. And I think this beacon of ice chimes will really gather people around and create a sort of a new sense of community in an area that's still trying to figure out its identity.